Welcome to our second Hoops and Dreams QPR podcast in September. Good start, this. My name is Brian Fisher, and along with my two guests, we will be reviewing the recent games that have been played by the R's, discuss a few topics, and then briefly look ahead to the next few matches. I hope by now that you're also aware that James Miller and Dave Barton provide a weekly detailed analysis of up-and-coming matches. So do explore those too on our podcast list. Anyway, in this episode, I am joined by Steve, who is known as Stoty on the Hoops and Dreams QPR Podcast Forum, and is a regular attendee of our away matches. Are you? No, you're not. You don't think you are.
Sometimes
I'm making this up as I go along. No, you're about the only person I know watches every live game, actually. My next guest came about because I asked to share his table in Wetherspoons on Saturday for the Stoke game. And we got chatting, as Rangers fans often do. And he ended up showing me pictures, not of his wife, but of Barbe and Adoma. And I happened to mention that I'd interviewed them and found them very nice people indeed. And then he turned out that he was a fan of my my interview of Mark Warburton and begged to come on as a guest. I'm always looking out for new guests, and so I'm delighted to fulfill both our wishes, really. So welcome, Mehmet.
Thank you. I would say begged is a little bit over the top.
Right. Anyway, let's get on before he tells the real truth. We should have been reviewing the last three games, but the sad death of our monarch meant the Huddersfield match was rightly postponed. So instead, we will be reviewing just these two matches, Millwall against QPR and QPR against Stoke. So let's start with the Millwall against QPR on Wednesday, the 14th of September. An away game at the Den. We're always aware the R's tend to not do so well when playing there. But I was surprised to discover that we'd only won once there. Millwall was sitting in 14th place compared to our 11th prior to this game, but only 1 point was separating us. Their last five matches were a draw, 3 losses and a win. So a real mixed bag of results for them. Prior to the game, Mick Beale announced that Amos, Tyler Roberts and Jack Clark-Slater were all back in training and therefore should have been available for selection. The only absentee was reported to be Taylor Richards with a thigh injury. As it turned out, the R's stalwart defender Rob Dickey was also declared unfit due to a training injury. So the R's lined up as follows: Dieng in goal, Laird at right back, Balogun and Dunn as the centre backs, with Powell on the left. Field and Johnson were just ahead of them. And then you had Willock and Irog Banham, who afterwards, from now on in this podcast and forever, will be known as Tim, and Chair. Just behind, they were just behind Tyler Roberts, who was on instead of Lyndon Dykes as the sole striker. 2,000 of the faithful turned up at the Den, full credit to them. The opening 20 to 30 minutes were hugely competitive, with scares on both sides before it settled down a little. But you felt the R's were just ahead on points. Finally, in the 53rd minute, Chair threaded through a pass to Willock, and he let loose a low long-range shot that beat the goalie. The lead was doubled in the 71st minute, when a Chair corner on the right was taken really quickly and fed short to Johansson on the goal line. He moved quickly forward, used his left foot to beat the tight angle and the goalie. It was a superb goal. After that, Dazelle and Dykes came on for Roberts and Willock, followed on 82nd minute by Bon and Adoma coming on for Chair and Tim. And in the dying minutes, Kake came on to replace Powell, who was suffering from cramp. As the fans sang their hearts out, we held on to our 2-goal lead. So can I presume you watched this one live, Steve, again? And was this a fair result, or did we ride our luck?
No, I thought we did very well in this game. I thought that I like the team. I like the team that Beale put out. I have to say, I thought putting Tim in the team, he added something. He allowed Field to stick in that holding midfield position. And alongside Field, Tim was back there as well, and it allowed sort of like Stefan Johansson to get forward, which was great. And I really enjoyed the game. I thought it was a pretty even first half. It wasn't great, but I never saw us conceding, to be honest, on the night. I thought we looked very solid with the team we had. I thought Roberts was a bit unlucky early doors with a header that he put wide when he you know, if he had scored, you know, it would have been his first league goal for us, and it you know, it could have set him up for a good season. But no, I thought it was a very good performance and a tremendous team setup on the day.
Great, that's good. Mehmet, what impressed you about the team's performance?
Yeah, similar to Steve, really. It was almost a perfect away performance, which is really rare for us. First clean sheet of the season. Was it a coincidence or not a coincidence in terms of Balogun's first start? I believe it wasn't a coincidence. He gave us that experience, stability, calmness at the back, which perhaps we haven't had so far this season. It was fantastic to score a set piece goal, whether that was more because Millwall fell asleep or because it was practiced. I've not seen us score a set piece goal like that before, so that was excellent. Couple of other points, Steph being back at his best. Johansson last season just didn't seem right to me, whether he was suffering with injuries or confidence, but this season he's back to the guy that we signed on loan. So I was really impressed with him. And what a goal by Willock. I might have my stats wrong, but it's kind of 5 shots on target and 5 goals is not bad by anybody's standard. So really, really impressive away performance.
Yeah, I think you're dead right. And I think that set piece goal probably was a mixture of, yes, they practiced it, and yes, Millwall fell asleep. I think it's a mixture of both. Millwall are often, as far as the R's are concerned, to be sort of a problem child for us. We came away with the 3 points, no injuries, apart from Parle's cramp, and only our second win at the Den. And then you add on to that a clean sheet. It's not bad, is it? Well, you know, what's not to like? So yeah, very happy about that. Good 3 points. So that neatly segues into QPR against Stoke, which was on Saturday, the 17th. Still basking in the afterglow of Wednesday's victory against Millwall and the team performance, in all honesty. The R's entertained Stoke at Loftus Road. Whilst the R's were now 8th on 14 points, Stoke were not far behind on 11 points and 12th place in the Championship. And the starting 11 for this one was Dieng, Laird, Balogun, Dunn and Powell, so no difference there. And then in the midfield, Field, Dazelle and Johansson. So Tim was dropped. And then up front, Willock, Roberts and Chair. It's going to be one of those days, I think. At the start of the second half, notice how I'm going straight away to the second half. Mick Beale tried to end the stalemate by replacing Dazelle with Dykes. So he moved to a 4-4-2, it seemed. But in the 78th minute, he replaced Johansson and Roberts with Tim and Adoma. After that, it did seem to become more lively. And, you know, there were lots of efforts made, but they failed to result in a goal. And it ended up with a 0-0. It was a frustrating game to watch, I think, but we'll come to that in a minute. Mick Beale said afterwards that Stoke turned up with a different game plan. By which I take it to mean that they turned up with a game plan that he wasn't expecting them to play and QPR had not prepared for. Whatever the reason, we saw a performance that failed to reach expectations. And the midfield was often bossed by Stoke. Meanwhile, up front, Roberts struggled with the ball. And with the three backs, we're just waiting there for him to really to make a mistake. Alex Neil stated that his side were better in the first half and QPR in the second. And I can't disagree with that. But I would add that Stoke had only had 8 shots in the whole game, with only 1 on target, whilst the R's had 20 shots with 5 on target. So there was a huge difference there. The only area, in fact, where Stoke was shown as ahead was in the fouling. And as good as this referee was, Matt Donoghue was really, really good, I have to say. He was a bit lenient at times. So, Steve, did you see the same intensity as we saw against Millwall on Wednesday? And if not, why not?
I thought that Dazelle was the weak link, and it's a shame to pick on him, really. But I couldn't understand why young Tim didn't get back in the team. It may well be because he's only 19, a bit like Sinclair Armstrong. He doesn't want to give him too many minutes at the moment, and it probably was. But I thought first half we just looked disjointed. It didn't look, it was too chalk and cheese really from the Millwall game. The second half we were much better. Dunn could have scored, but I think he was offside anyway with his header that the goalkeeper saved. And although we were much the better attacking team, I think we escaped from with a bit of luck at the end when the referee didn't give them a penalty. Because I thought Powell, it was a bit of a rash challenge on the Stoke man. And another day, it's one of those 50-50s that could have gone to Stoke and they could have sneaked it. But yeah, I just love to see Roberts or Dykes score a goal at the moment, because every other area on the pitch seems to be going well, but unfortunately, it's our striker, it's our main man up front. Whether it's Roberts, whether it's Linden, they just can't put the ball in the net. And I'm sure that when they do, they'll go on a run, or I hope they go on a run anyway.
Yeah, that's a fair point you've made. And if you consider that, let's say Chair gets 8 goals this season, Willett gets 8, you'd expect the striker to be getting a dozen.
Yes.
And we're already now 2 months in, and we've not got anything really to show for it, apart from Dykes' 1 goal, I think, isn't it?
Yes, I think so. That was it.
Okay, so Mehmet, was this a fair result in the end? I mean, you and I both stood there and watched it.
Yeah, I think it was a fair result, and I kind of had mixed emotions at the end of it. I think Bill summed it up in his after-match press conference when he said he was actually bored during the first half. I wouldn't say I was bored, but it was close. It was close. Second half, obviously much, much better. But if I'm honest, we never looked like scoring. And whilst the stats, 20 goal attempts, 5 on target, I just felt we could have gone on till midnight and probably still not scored. That's how it felt anyway. However, another clean sheet, a solid performance, everyone tried. I didn't feel like, anyone was lacking any effort there. And we could easily, as Stotey has said, easily have lost that. Just before the possible penalty, I think they just went narrowly wide with a shot as well, maybe the 89th minute. So in the past, that could have been a 0-1 defeat. But you know what? We picked up a point, kept a clean sheet. If somebody said to me at the start of the week, you're going to get 4 points from Millwall and Stoke, I'd have settled for that. And the added bonus is somehow we've crept into the top 6. So that's quite a nice feeling with 2 weeks off now and loads of players due to come back from injury. I think we're well placed. So disappointed, but certainly not upset with that. It was okay.
Do you think what else could he have done, do you think, other than to get another striker? What else could he have done to perhaps have got that win?
What hindsight's great, isn't it? Hindsight's great. You know what? Armstrong scored a hat trick for the under 23s on Friday.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
And yes, he does need the minutes. Of course, he needs the minutes. But I kept thinking, if somebody like him came on, you know, maybe to replace Robert, so Dykes and Armstrong ultimately, maybe. But apart from that, I think it's the transfer window is done. We did need, in my opinion, a proper number, sort of nine.
Number 9.
That can,
yeah.
that can just create something out of nothing. But we haven't got that, so we're going to have to live with what we've got.
Yeah, I think that's very, very true. Okay, this was yet another one where I must admit, I was hoping for home advantage to provide a bit more than a draw, to be quite honest. I mean, we're quite close to each other in the table, but I thought the home advantage would perhaps make the difference. Instead, we saw QPR being threatened by breakaways and often unable to string decent passes together. There were long periods where we were just not doing that, where, you know, completely unlike the Millwall game. In fact, it seemed as if we were being constrained by Stoke's way of playing, and that led to their dominance in midfield, particularly in the first half. We did have shots on target, as I said, but we also rode our luck at times. So a draw was sadly a fair result, in my opinion. But it certainly brought the carnival back down to earth with a bump. So that ends the review of the last 2 games anyway. So I thought what we do now is perhaps spend a bit of time looking at the new signings that we procured at the start of the season, and see a quick summary of what you feel they've added to the side. So can we start with Ethan Laird at right back, who's on loan from Man United? Mehmet?
Yeah, I love him. Awesome. He's got pace, he's got energy, enthusiasm, gets up and down. Very difficult to fault him so far. I'm surprised we've got him. I really am. So I've got to say, yeah, of course you can pick holes. We can all pick holes. But so far, so good. And comparing him to, you know, listen, Ozzy Kakai, in terms of his effort levels and his attitude, 10 out of 10. But this, you know, Laird is a different kettle of fish. And I think we've I know we're going to talk about Kenneth in a moment, but to me, the fullbacks have made a big difference, and will only get better providing they stay fit.
Steve, do you think the same?
I do. Quality, isn't he? He's a quality player. He's. I mean, I compare him with, when I was thinking back on all these players that we brought in, I was comparing them with the players that they've replaced. You know, and he's replaced Bejo from last year. Bejo was good. He did a good job, but you can see the quality with Laird. You can see why he's a Man United player. I mean, amazing. He's only 3rd choice there, but very, very good player, and glad we got him.
Yeah, I think he's adapted really well to the Championship's style of play, and also QPR's way of playing. He defends his wing very well, and he also covers for the centre-backs, I noticed, when needed, the same as Powell does. And he does get forward when required. All in all, I think he's a superb addition to the squad. Yeah, I think that. Yeah. So, Mehmet, what about Leon Balogun and Jake Clark-Salter, our centre-backs?
Okay. Balogun, the 2 games I've seen, exceptional. As I said earlier, you know, calm. He's got a presence. Not necessarily the most vocal of players, I understand. I'm led to believe, but kind of leads by example. And you know, 2 clean sheets in 2 games. What, you know?
What's not to like? Yeah, I know, that's true.
And given, I'm not sure, is he 33, 34? I'm not sure, but not being ageist. You know, he doesn't play like somebody that's not played since last May. So very, very impressed. Let's just hope he can stay fit. I heard that he's pulled out the Nigeria squad. I just hope that's more of a listen. I can't play 3 games in a week, rather than there's something that's happened. But really impressed. Jake Clark-Salter, did you say? Don't know. Honestly, don't know. I saw the highlights of the Blackburn game. I think that's the only game that he's featured in. We got beat 1-0. All I worry, looking at his track record, is we've got another injury-prone type player, plays 2 and then misses 4. So hopefully he'll come back after the international break. Very highly rated by Bill. So left-footed. So what's not to like? But he needs to play, doesn't he?
Yeah, I'd agree. Steve, same thoughts?
Yeah, very much the same. I have to be honest. I thought that Leon Balogun coming in, I thought that Rob Dickie may have lost his place, even if Balogun, even if he wasn't injured, because I thought he didn't have the greatest game. I can't remember the game it was, but the one before the Millwall game, and
Swansea away.
Swansea away, yeah.
It was a lousy weather conditions, but yeah, he wasn't good.
It was, but I think that I've said about Rob before. When he takes so long to turn. He seems so slow to me. He's a good header of the ball. He likes to take the ball out when there's nobody around him. But he got beaten up last year by Mitrovic, Fulham. He got beaten up on other occasions, and against big centre forwards. But Balogun proved against Millwall, who were typical big and gnarly players to play against, that he wasn't intimidated, and he was, he stabilised that to the back. And like I said, Jake Clark-Salter, we haven't really seen anything of him, have we? Apart from that first game, he looked okay, but another one, a bit like Taylor Richards, isn't it? Again, seems to got injured in training.
Yeah,
and we don't see him. Disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, what I remember of Jake when he was playing was that it was all positive, and that he worked well with Dickie and dominated the play. So so I agree with you. He's a definite asset as long as we can keep him free of injury.
That's it. Yeah.
Whereas Leon Balogun, he's just come in and just done the business. His partnership with Jimmy Dunn is working really, really well. And I'm delighted he's here. I guess let's move on quickly to Kenneth Powell. Steve, what do you think about him?
Yeah, I like him. Yeah, he's got better. I thought he was a bit shaky to start with, but he's impressed me in the last few games. I mean, he's only little, but he gets up and down that down the left. Yeah, he's done well. He's got in some good crosses, and we're comparing him with Nico, really, and Nico sort of like he's not the most consistent, or he doesn't have a lot of confidence to the back line. But as a replacement for Bliss last year, I'm quite hopeful. And he did have a little injury, didn't he? But he's still getting fit. I think getting used to the Championship. These players come from Holland, where they probably play no more than once a week. But he's now in the in that hot pot of the Championship, which is a game, 2 games, 3 games a week. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I agree. Mehmet, you think the same, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's getting better and better. Shaky start. I felt the Middlesbrough game very stressful in the end. Middlesbrough game, he was struggling at the end, and Stoke penned him in. I felt so he wasn't able to get forward as much as he would have liked. But again, attitudinally and just his character, can't knock the fella, and a free transfer. So.
Like?
Good start. Yeah.
Yeah, I like him as well. I've got to say, I think like Laird, he's adapting to the Championship, but quite honestly, he was my man of the match against Millwall. So it's not bad going for a left back, is it? And I'm not sure if this is a criticism or a praise of him, but he seems to do a risk analysis as the ball comes towards him, and what he's doing is looking to see whether he's going to be beaten or not. And if he thinks there's a chance that he's going to be beaten, he will head the ball off. It'll either become a corner or a throw-in. He's very cautious, I think, in that respect. So you don't expect him ever to get caught out, really. He does seem to know if he goes in for a tackle, he thinks he's going to win it. He knows he's going to win it. So anyway, I think he's in two minds. I think he's two minds to say that, my heart says that he should take on the player always and beat him. But my head says that he's quite right to do what he does. So fair credit to him. Anyway, I think he's a definite asset. So fair dues. On to midfield. And let's start with Taylor Richards, as we mentioned him. He's on loan from Brighton. Mehmet?
He hasn't played, so it's a real tough one. What I like is the fact that he's a West London boy. His family go or support QPR. There was something on him on Twitter, attending when he was 8 to QPR game. Seems, from what I've heard and read, a really good lad. So let's see. Could be the missing link in midfield, like the box-to-box player that we're craving for. But we need him fit and we need him playing.
Steve?
Yeah, very similar. I mean, he just seems injury prone to me. He went to Birmingham, didn't he? And got injured before, when he was signing. Apparently, they asked him to do a couple of jumps or something, and he kneed the table and then was out for several games. And he seems to have turned up with us, and he got an early injury, and we've not seen him. So yeah, jury's out. Let's hope he gets back to fit and string a few games together.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. Okay, our second midfielder is Tiny, well, not Tiny Tim, Big Tim. Steve, what do you think about Tim? He's on loan from Villa, isn't he?
I was very impressed when I saw him play against Millwall. I think he's got one hell of a future. He took his man on. He sprayed a couple of nice passes. I mean, he got caught in possession a couple of times early on, but he grew into the game, and I thought he looked very good. But again, after one game, it's difficult to really say. But yeah, I think he's got promise, and the way that he played alongside Field in that holding midfield role and allowed Stefan to go forward, it made so much difference to our team. And I hope for our next game away to Bristol, we see him back in and then playing that same 4-3-3.
Yeah. Mehmet, he's actually, I mean, Mick Beale's made no secret of the fact that he really, really likes him. I mean, do you?
Yeah, I do. I think we forget that, was he 19?
Yeah, 19, yeah.
Exceptional against Millwall. I was disappointed that he didn't start against Stoke because I was looking forward to seeing him.
Yeah.
He's kind of, this is a bit of an exaggeration, but that Patrick Vieira, gangly, yet awkward, yet effective look about him. Villa rate him so highly. I think a really exciting signing. I'd like to see him start against Bristol City. I really would.
Yeah, I think my only concern about him was, which we sort of mentioned in passing, he sometimes gets held up in possession. He holds on to it for too long. So he's not used to the QPR way of playing yet, obviously. And his passing at times was a bit wayward. So he does need to make that step up to the Championship. I think once he's done that, I think he's going to be a really strong force for us. So anyway, we'll see. Finally, talking about these, onto our sole new striker, Tyler Roberts. He's on loan from Leeds. He's not an out-and-out striker. Let's get that said straight away. So asking him to start up front as an alternative to Dykes is a big ask in a way. However, I have to evaluate him on that role if it's me doing it. And, rather than being a replacement for Chair or Amos. And you can see the problems. He doesn't trap the ball well. He doesn't hold the ball up well to allow the others to catch up with him. And he doesn't seem to find the spaces that Dykes manages to in the area. However, he does work well with Chair, Johansson and Willock on the edge of the box. So another one for me, I think, where the jury is out. Mehmet, what about you?
Yeah. Can I see him score 15 plus goals this season? No. He doesn't trap the ball well. He doesn't hold the play up. I'm sounding really critical. There are some buts in a second. So in terms of that number 9, he doesn't fulfil that particularly well for me. Having said that, though, he's powerful. He's athletic. He gets stuck in. The intricacies outside the box with Chair and Willock are good. So I think there's definitely a role for him, but for me, the jury's out. What's his natural position? And at the moment, I'm not sure. I'm glad if you said, are you glad we've got him? Yes. And he'll offer something from the bench, but he's more than that, isn't he? It's just a case of where does he best fit in? But he's not a number 9, is he? Let's be honest.
No. Steve, you feel the same, I'm sure.
Yeah, Mehmet summed it up there, really. He's not a number 9. He's that, if you want to call him the false number 9 that they like to call it these days, but no, he put a cracking goal in the cup against, was it Chum, wasn't it, in that cup game when he came off. He's not really threatened, and I mean, I was disappointed with the header against Millwall in the first half when it was a bit of an open goal really, and he put it well wide, and that was disappointing. But maybe again, as Mehmet said, he's not played that many games with the players that he's playing with, and we've had Willock out injured, so it's all about these players settling in, getting a few games under their belt, and maybe that one will go in off his backside or whatever, and he'll go on a scoring run. And I hope he does.
Okay, now we've gone over the players that have arrived and given some idea of analysis or whatever our feelings on them. Let's move on to the up and coming games. Well, the next game we've got up is Bristol City against QPR, which is on Saturday, the 1st of October. Be nice to have an early birthday present for this one, but I don't think we will. After the draw against Stoke, we amazingly moved up to 6th place on 15 points, with the last 5 games being 2 wins, a loss, a win and a draw, obviously. Meanwhile, Bristol City are sitting on 9th place with 14 points. So not far behind us. And their last 5 games were a draw, a win and 2 losses. So Bristol City have scored more, but they've also conceded more than us. So real mixed bag. So Mehmet, I believe were going to go to this one. Would you like to give me a win, draw or loss?
Yeah, still due to go. I'm going to sit on the fence and go for a draw. I think there'll be goals, so 1-1 or 2-2, but
okay.
A draw.
I think that's Steve. What about you?
No, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to go for a win. I reckon we're going to win this one 2-1.
Okay.
I know I shouldn't be positive, but
listen, somebody's got to be positive, because I've got to say both sides are sitting so close in the league. Logic says a draw, and that's what I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for a draw. Next one, Sheffield United against QPR. That's on Tuesday, the 4th of October. So it's a Going to be a dark night in Loftus Road. Sorry, not in Loftus, in Bramall Lane. The Blades have managed to rise to the top with an impressive 23 points, with wins for their last 4 matches as well. And they've got an impressive goal difference of 14 as well. It's all positive for them. I'd like to say I would be delighted with a draw, absolutely delighted. But this is a tough away game, and so I'm going for a loss. Steve?
Yeah, I'm with you, Brian. I'm afraid it's 2-0. We're going to hit on the day. I think Sheffield United, really tough team. They've still got a lot of their Premiership players there, and yeah, very good team. I can't see us getting anything from it, but if we do, brilliant.
Yeah, I think so. Mehmet, you same?
Yeah, arguably the toughest away game of the season. So, yeah. If we get a point, I'll be thrilled, but I just can't see it.
No, I know how you feel. Right, last one. QPR Reading. It's on Friday, the 7th of October. Reading have been somewhat of a surprise package this season, sitting on 3rd with 18 points. But they only have a goal difference of -4. This is largely, I think, because they've scored 10 goals only. So that suggests a free scoring side, but could actually punish them, because I think as they stand at the moment, they're not scoring that much, but they are conceding. And when they do concede, they concede big time. So a free scoring side could beat them. But I don't feel it'll be QPR that will do that. Steve, what do you think?
No, I think we're going to get something from this. I think we'll beat it. I mean, they got Joe Lumley in goal. Joe always gives us a goal, doesn't he, since he left us? And I'm sure he will do against Reading.
He does owe us. You're right. That's true. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. See how Ince does this on this one. Mehmet?
Yeah, I think we'll win. And the reason I say that is because some of the analysis you've just gone through there, Brian, and they're quite an old team. You know, got Hendrick in there. They've got Andy Carroll, and there's others as well. You know, and I think our legs. We might have to be a little bit patient, but I think getting to the second half, and we'll start opening them up a little bit. So yeah, I'll go 2-0. I think we'll beat them 2-0.
Hey, my gosh, I love the positive vibes coming out here. For me, Reading's lack of scoring and the fact that we have a tighter defence than I think we've had for a long time may well combine to produce a draw. That's what I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for a draw. So I'm the negative one here, without a doubt. Anyway, that finishes our review of what's coming up. This has been yet another one of those podcasts where the guests have added so much to the proceedings. So a very warm welcome thank you to all of you, Steve and Mehmet, for coming along and doing this. You could have been, I'm sure, been doing something much more productive. As ever, thanks to Dave, my editor, and any verbal mistakes by me are his fault. Finally, my thanks to you all for watching. Please click on subscribe if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, and add comments as well below. We'd love to hear from you and we'll try and answer them. I'm Brian Fisher and this was a Hoops and Dreams QPR podcast. Come on, you R's.
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.